Hello everybody and welcome back to the TripleJump Podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
My name's Sam.
Hi Sam.
Hello, I'm not Peter.
You're not Peter.
No.
Peter's, he's on holiday, which is code for he just couldn't face coming into the office this week. He's just sick of it. He's sick of it all.
I don't blame him, he's here so late all the time.
He's crazy. I keep telling him to go home and he won't.
Works like a dog.
He's a naughty boy, but he's on holiday this week. So we've got Sam here, Sam from Cultaholic. You will know him from all of his wrestling endeavors, of course.
That's me, Mr. Wrestling Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
The host of Graded for NXT and 205 Live.
That's the one.
Which usually records directly after us in this studio when we do the podcast. So that's the only time we talk, though. It's like,
pretty
okay,
much,
Sam, you can go in now. But Sam, you're a big video game fan.
Yes.
And you're very kindly helping out this week while Peter is away.
I'm really excited about this.
Yeah?
I don't often get a chance to talk about games a lot, so...
Well, I'm excited to have you. We've got all sorts of questions. We'll find out all about you and what you're made of and all sorts of stuff like that.
Just guts, gristle, coffee.
And anger.
Yeah.
Before we get started, though, we do have a sponsor this week. It's totally real.
Right.
I've got the ad read here. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So this is for a new form of sort of antivirus software.
Right.
Real life. Have you ever sort of played games and you've had a condescending elderly person suggest that maybe it's not really a good use of your time?
Yes.
And so this is stupid and so on and so forth. Well, introducing the OAP antivirus shield. This is actually a real knight who carries around a shield who will keep elderly people at bay. And there is a premium version available because I know #not all OAPs, right?
Yeah.
Some of them love it. Some of them love the video games. So you can get a premium version where the knight he can tell the difference. Or she can tell the difference.
Is this a subscription-based service? Do you just stop paying 1 month and the knight disappears?
I don't know.
Do you pay for him to eat? Does he eat? Is he human?
I feel like the knight...
Is the knight human?
I feel like the knight will take care of the knight's self. I suppose in this scenario you can't worry too much about the knight.
What about my garden? Like, is it gonna be like Dark Souls? Is he gonna be making little campfires?
I think that would be an added benefit of the knight,
right?
In this scenario, but it is exciting because it doesn't just apply to video games. The knight shields you from all OAPs at all times.
Oh,
so if you were to go, when you go into town on a Saturday morning and it's full of old people
and they keep
very
stopping,
slowly, and you're thinking, you don't work. Why weren't you here during the week when we were at work? Or you go into Greg's and all the stuff's gone, and you're like, right, well the Opes have got them, haven't they? The knight will just go to town with that shield, and that is the exciting future that the OAP antivirus shield can offer.
That's so much better than my original plan for this was to somehow become dictator of the United Kingdom, which is apparently a thing you can do now.
Well, yeah, you don't have to be elected anymore. That's been proven.
You can just shut it all down. But my plan was to become the dictator, rule with an iron fist, but I was going to paint like lanes on all of the paths and all the shopping centres, and one is red, one is yellow, one's green. Green's for people like us who just know where we need to go.
Yeah, the good folks.
You sort of just jump in and that's it. You can be in and out of town in 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Whereas like everybody over a set age will be constricted to the red unless they can prove they're worthy of the yellow.
Yes.
And then kids and families go in the yellow because the other thing is prams.
Right.
Can we get an add-on that will take care of like families? It's a bit of a dark question.
Well, yeah, it's a family plan. I think then we're sort of straying into almost...
infanticide.
Sort of infanticide and maybe some kind of 2-3-tiered society. Where we're
it works for Mega City 1.
Sure, no crime there. So that is the OAP antivirus shield. But it's a lie, Sam! We've got them! We've fooled them all. That's not the real sponsor this week. It's our wonderful patrons at patreon.com/Team TripleJump. Unfortunately, the OAP antivirus shield is still... The technology's not there yet.
Somebody needs to get on that.
It could happen. I'm just saying, be ready for the future, and if it does happen, then we're so far.
The thing is, they've got us by the balls there, though, because you know for a fact they're going to release skin packs, and they're going to be like 40 quid each, and you can have a knight who's got like all of his armor on, but also like I don't know, like a big furry head, but like it's going to cost you. You
might get the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of different variants, but you got to get them out of a loot crate, a questionable pachinko style loot crate.
And it is just a huge slot machine in London.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to go to London as well. It's a whole thing. You know what? They're a terrible sponsor. We'll talk about them again at the end, but whatever. Question 1 from our wonderful patrons. If you support us on Patreon, you can submit questions to the show. That's the only way you can get questions on.
Yes.
If you support us at patreon.com/Team TripleJump. First up is David Cutler, who asks, what are your preferences for having subtitles on in games? I can never decide between the trade-off of missing important plot moments versus losing immersion and being able to read ahead and spoil key moments. What do you think of subtitles, just in general, in regards to Netflix, for example?
It's a big thing for me. Like, I watch a lot of world cinema, sort of, because I did film at uni and all that stuff, and I watch a lot of wanky films. But, like, so I'm sort of used to reading subtitles a lot. The only trade-off there is that, yeah, you're going to miss a lot of, like, brilliant cinematography or whatever you're going to miss. But, like, and sometimes you will ruin a plot point by reading ahead. But... yeah, like there's been times where I've just left them on, where like I've got the TV like quiet in the background, and I'll just sort of like be doing something else, like just reading or whatever, and I'll just look up and I'll be able to sort of read what's happening. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's a very valuable tool, as you said, with world films and tangentially then for foreign games, for Japanese games in particular, that kind of thing. If you want to play it with the original dub, but yeah, I think games, perhaps even more so than films, you miss so much, especially if you're actually playing.
Yeah.
How are you meant to do both? I don't understand.
It was a big problem for me with it's games like Just Cause. I'm a big fan of the Just Cause series, even though 4 is an unfinished mess, but it's still fun. It's still
sandbox.
fun.
It's a sandbox with physics in.
Or like the Dark Knight. The Dark Knight's a film. Arkham Knight. Like
yes.
You'll often just find yourself walking around, and the weirdest thing is when you just sort of pass like a gang of nearby enemies, like a gaggle of guys stood around a fire with baseball bats doing this.
Yeah.
And
Keep
it will just
walking, Batman.
but it'll all of a sudden pop up, but it'll be so quick you miss it, and so you go back and you're, what have I missed? I think it can sort of have a negative effect like that. But
yeah. I've got a few examples here in particular. The most recent one for me was Sekiro.
Yes.
Which obviously the default was the Japanese dub with English subtitles, but you could also have the English dub with Japanese subtitles, I suppose, if you're mad. For me, a lot of people are like, well, if you want to get the legit experience, you got to play it with Japanese dub and with the English subtitles. And to them, I say, you're stupid, because that game is bloody hard. And I'm
I
concentrating...
rage quit that after about an hour or so. I just couldn't. Yeah.
You're concentrating so hard on not dying that the last thing you want to be doing is looking down at subtitles.
Yeah.
I as much as I appreciate that it's set in Japan and it should have Japanese voice acting, I'm perfectly happy with the English voice acting. I think it's fine.
It's funny because in games I'd say it was fine. In a film, I am not watching a dub. Like, I just can't do it. It's so... I don't know if it's because it's real faces.
Right.
And you're watching their mouths move, and it's just some guy going, "No, it's over there," and their mouth's still going.
Moving.
Yeah, like that sort of thing really takes me out of it. But with games, I guess it's. I just sort of think it's all right.
They can usually do. There's usually some kind of sort of post-effect lip-syncing thing they can apply to sort of try and match up, like the earlier Metal Gear Solid games, for example. Like, you wouldn't know that they were originally Japanese.
If we just stayed in PS1 era, mouths just had to do that.
Yeah, or not even move at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just sort of shake a bit. Like, now I'm talking. The other points I've got down here are a bad audio mix is a time I would apply subtitles.
Yes.
If I've had numerous games where I've got, standard TV speakers, you rotate the right analog stick slightly and the camera moves around, and then all the audio just disappears. Or you take too many steps away from them, the audio mix just goes, and you just can't hear them anymore.
This has become such a problem with HDMI and standard TV speakers. It's like when you watch a film on Netflix and it's a super action film, and then it's just a bit where there's no action and they're all doing a bit of a talk, and it's super quiet, so you turn it all the way up, and then there's an explosion and your neighbours are banging on the wall because it's so loud, and you're dying and your eyelashes have been ripped off, and it's like the old is it THX advert or Maxell advert where he sat in the chair.
Yeah, it is that. That always frustrates me. It doesn't happen so much anymore, but I remember specifically on PS3, I had that a lot of the time. Games with lots of weird lore, like The Witcher and Dragon Age, when they're popping up all kinds of weird names.
I need to be able
to
read that.
Like, I don't know if he's just said something strange, or if that's just the accent he's got and he said something normal I can't understand. What is Caermoran? How's that spelled?
How else are you going to learn how to spell Parthenax?
Well, you need to know, don't you? All these dwarven names and things, you kind of need to know. I think those are the examples. Generally, no, I don't have subtitles on in games. I try to remove as much interference as possible. I turn off all notifications and stuff. So
as much as I fight really hard to turn them off, and then I'll often find myself turning them on because I played a lot of point and click as a kid, and so that was always like either just subtitles or like a dub with subtitles over the top. But yeah, it's still something that even though it takes me out of it, I still for some reason compulsively do it just in case I miss something or.
I suppose in that kind of game, it's really important, isn't it? Because I tune out all the time. Unfortunately, games are far more forgiving now than they used to be.
Can we get subtitles on FIFA? Can we do that?
Oh my God, can you imagine subtitles on FIFA? Surely that's a thing, right?
It's got to be, surely, yeah.
That must be mental, though.
Like an accessibility tool, I guess.
Yeah, but it would never really be able to. It would just flash up in the moment because it's not. A FIFA match's voiceover is reactive.
It's a big flowchart, isn't it?
Right, exactly. So like it would just pop up for a second and then disappear again as soon as it's being said. It wouldn't you wouldn't be able to read ahead to who's going to score the next goal.
When you're watching BBC News Live and they're getting it wrong constantly and it's at the bottom and it's like 4 seconds behind and then they're ahead for some reason and it's just untrackable.
At some point you just see them mistype a name and then they're like... You can hear them sigh, and then you can see them backspacing to type it again. Oh, God. Anyway, yeah, FIFA with subtitles, that's the dream. Let's move on to a groundbreaking segment, Sam.
Right.
It's unparalleled in journalistic media.
Okay.
It's called What We Playin. It's time for What We Playin. It's a section where we talk about what we...
Playing?
That's it. Sorry, I nearly forgot it there. That was close. Sam, what have you been playing?
I'm a weirdo, so I've recently got a Dreamcast because I never really had a Dreamcast as a kid, so I wanted to get a Dreamcast. I've been playing through things like Sonic Adventure again, which is always fun.
Right.
But the big game I've been playing and caning a lot of, but trying to manage my time on it because I don't want to finish it too quickly. I want to enjoy it. Is Shenmue.
Okay.
Like Shenmue 1. So, yeah, I paid 38 quid for it. And it's in a battered box. Yeah.
Dreamcast copy.
But the discs are in perfect condition. It came with all the manuals. And I've been playing my way through it. And my favourite thing about Shenmue at the moment is how bad the voice acting is.
Yeah, I've heard that it's pretty notorious.
Yeah, so they released it in Japan with like an actual cast of real voice actors and everything. And I think the rumour goes that PlayStation dropped the PS2 and Dreamcast knew they had something huge with Shenmue if they could get it to the American market, because it was sort of the first Heavy Rain style game, I guess, wasn't it? Like one of the first anyway, where it's sort of reactive playable film. They invented like a word for it. I can't remember. Like there's an acronym that they invented. I think it's
interactive story something or other.
Yeah, they've got like an actual. It's like a word like dream, and each letter stands for something.
Wow.
But yeah, like when they dropped the PS2, Sega sort of crapped themselves and went, oh no, so PS2 is going to be huge in the West, as we all know. Like it was always going to be huge in the West. And they went, well, we need to maximize the Dreamcast, so let's get Shenmue out as quick as possible. And they were like, look, it's going to take a year to get this done properly. If you want real voice actors, you want it to be great. And they were like, don't worry about that. Just find every English speaker in Japan. So they sort of found as many people that could speak English as possible. And so the result is every child in the game has the same voice.
Yep.
And they're all like, hey, mister, play with me, regardless of the fact if they're a boy or a girl. There's like the shopkeepers sound so unsure about everything. It's like you got to look for this guy called Charlie at one point quite early in the game. And you've got to sort of build a little character around, like, what does he do? He's a bit of a troublemaker. He hangs out by the arcade. Okay, go to the arcade, talk to some shopkeepers. Oh yeah, he stole some stuff from me. But like the way they talk, it's like, Charlie, yes, I've seen Charlie. Charlie comes around the shop and he peruses the jackets, and it's and then the opening scene, like Rio, the main character, Rio, is like. The opening scene, it's not going to spoil anything for anybody, but you essentially watch...
What are you talking about? I haven't played this 20-year-old game.
You watch your father sort of being attacked. He's come home from school, I think, and there's somebody there beating up his dad, and he wants to know about this mirror. And you watch your dad die in front of you because he won't give it up. But when it happens... Rio rushes forwards and he's like, Father, no, no. And he's like, starts looking up at the sky. And I don't think his mouth even moves. I think it's just like, no, Father. Yeah.
I remember you excitedly showing us this clip in the pub.
So great.
It's so ridiculous.
It was, yeah. Well, other than that, yeah, Shenmue, I have a Raspberry Pi, so I've been going back over a lot of old stuff. And yeah, no, I started Arkham Knight again yesterday. I've been picking up Just Cause whenever I can, and I started Crackdown 3, but I forgot that because I was really excited because I never got to play 2.
Okay. Crackdown 3 is the newest one, right?
Yeah, and there was the one they promised all the destructible stuff that never really delivered.
Right.
But I was so like, yeah, it's fun. You sort of become a big superhero, but I forgot that it's a big grind to get to that point. You've got to collect those agility orbs, Agent. And yeah. So what about you? What have you been playing?
I'll tell you what I've been playing. I've played a little bit of, in fact, by the time this goes out, I will have played a fair bit of more Borderlands 2. People who listen/watch this podcast.
I need to go back over Borderlands.
All I've been talking about the entire year is Borderlands, just because Game of the Year edition came out, and then I went back and played the pre-sequel, and then we've got a good friend over at Gearbox who you've actually met, I think, called Patrick Fenn. He gave you some stuff.
I think he gave it to Jack.
Oh, did he give it to Jack?
Because I remember it came back, and I was like, "Where's all this come from?" It's like somebody in the audience. I was like, I'm sure this is like a dev-signed copy of the game.
It is. So Patrick's a wrestling fan. What was it? It was an AEW show.
It was Double or Nothing when we were in Las Vegas. I think it was on our first live show we did.
Right.
So
yes.
yeah.
So he came and he said he was going to give you some stuff to bring back, and it was a signed copy.
And there was a tiny little Billy Ray as well.
There is, yeah, he's on my desk. It's amazing. So I'm doing, or I will have done, a stream with him on the lead up to Borderlands 3's release in sort of like next week, actually. For God's sake, it's so close. I'm so excited. We're playing a bit of Borderlands 2, the Commander Lilith Fight for Sanctuary DLC, which was, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but the last piece of DLC for Borderlands 2 was probably like 2013, 2014. This released this year.
I mean, it's a dedicated fan base.
But it's amazing. It's really substantial, and it was free as well.
Really?
Yeah, so
nice.
it was really good.
Will I get that on the Golden Collection?
The Handsome Collection.
The Handsome Collection, that's it, not Golden Collection, Jesus.
It's not included in it, but it's on whatever storefront you have available to you for free.
So I can download it.
Just go and download it, yeah. And he came, I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say it, I'm sure I am, but he, in preparation yesterday at the time of recording for the stream, he came into my game and he has special dev tools, and he was just vomiting up randomly generated top tier loot, and I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. This is incredible. I've never seen half these weapons. Like, give this shield a go, and I put it on, and it's like the legendary tortoise or something, and it's got this ridiculous shield capacity that's like way higher than anything else in the game, but you move at like half speed. And I was just like, what's happened to me? I don't understand. I'm so slow now.
I guess it's just for moments of heavy action.
Yeah, maybe. Just you want to be a tank of some kind. Anyway, so that was Borderlands 2. The main thing I've played actually is The Walking Dead Season 2, which I didn't get round to playing originally because it came out about the time the PS4 launched.
Oh, you've told me about this.
Yeah, and it was really annoying.
Wanted to hold off.
Because Telltale kind of, and I actually, no, I'm not going to mince words, they half-assed this, to be honest. I think the game is really good, and I'll talk about it in a second, but they half-assed the fact that there was no cross-save functionality between your PS3 save for The Walking Dead Season 1, because The Walking Dead Season 1 wasn't out on PS4 at that time.
Yeah.
They didn't support that. So if you were going to play The Walking Dead Season 2, you had to play it from scratch with no previous save imported, which really, really annoyed me. They then also, despite basically getting a lot of love and support and adulation from the trophy collecting community for The Walking Dead Season 1, which gave you a platinum for finishing all of the episodes, this one, they did the weirdest thing where each episode is considered a DLC to the first episode. So there's no platinum. There's just like 5 subsects of the trophy list, and it's super weird.
But every game should have a platinum.
Every game should have a platinum.
Yeah.
Every game should. So that was weird as well. But it was free on Plus a while ago, and I hadn't gotten around to playing it, and I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. It's got the usual bugginess that you expect with a Telltale game. Yeah. It's just a bit clanky sometimes. One of the characters I put a lot of time into supporting, even though he was one of those characters that you could tell was just put there to be an arse,
Yeah.
basically. And I was like, no, I'm going to fight his corner. And then he was killed off screen with no, like, it wasn't the result of any decision I made. I just arrived at a place and he was already dead. And I was like, okay, he's just that.
I was going to say,
was the voice actor not available or something? I don't understand.
You can't really speak ill of the dead, but Telltale are back now, so you can speak as ill as you like.
Yeah, that's it. Take that, Telltale. How dare you? But no, it's great. I don't know if I'm going to jump straight into the third season or not, but I might get on it eventually.
I finished a game recently, actually, for the first time in a good 6 or 7 months. I played through Thimbleweed Park, and I couldn't put it down.
I've heard a lot about that game.
It's fantastic. It's it's by some of the original team that worked at LucasArts. I think it's the guys that made Monkey Island, maybe.
Okay.
Or Maniac Mansion, but it's some of the original guys there, and it's just amazing. And the humor's sort of matured because they know they're going to have probably a little bit of an older audience.
Right.
It's a lot of in-jokes about the old game systems and Scum and all that stuff. And if you're a big point-and-click guy, or girl, if you're a big fan of it, then check it out because it's awesome.
Amazing. Yeah.
It gets really meta toward the end as well. It's mental.
I'm not the biggest point-and-click fan. Do you think I could go in and enjoy it for the atmosphere and the story? And
I think you could get about 3/4 of the way through the game pretty easily, and then if you had to resort to a walkthrough, do it because it's worth it just for sort of the end.
Right.
But it's definitely a lot of fun. It sort of minces X-Files-y, Twin Peaks-y, weird. Like a guy turns up dead at the start of the game, and you are these agents, except one of you might not be an agent. And then everything starts to feel weird, and then the town seems to just be trying to drive you out, so you can't solve the crime. And it's quite humorous, and you get to play as a swearing clown.
I mean, I'm sold already. I've got a similar recommendation for you, though, if you're interested. Oxenfree.
I've had this downloaded for ages, and I haven't played it yet.
It's not really point-and-click adventure, but it's in that style, and it's spooky and weird.
It had an ARG around it, right?
What's ARG?
Like an alternate reality game where it involved websites and codes and phones.
I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of. It's all about radio signals, and these kids go to an abandoned island and stay there, and then spooky stuff starts happening. But it's not too spooky, but it's really good, and you get to pick your dialogue on the fly and stuff, and people will react differently to you based on what you say, and it's really good. It's it blew me away, and I got it in a sale last year, and I thought it was fantastic. So I'd recommend that. Right. It's time to move on to another question, Sam.
Ooh.
What we got?
Oh, it's me doing this.
It's you. You're doing a read.
Are
you ready?
So this one's from Mike Bell. And he says, there was a brief spell when Toys to Life were a craze, what with Amiibos, Skylanders, and Lego Dimensions. What do you think of the concept, and did you guys ever have any?
No, I didn't have any. Did you have any?
No, but my girlfriend does. She collects Amiibos for sort of the aesthetic.
I think
only
Amiibos
Zelda
are
ones,
cool.
though, because she's a massive Zelda fan. So, but I think a lot of people do collect the Amiibos just for the aesthetics rather than the benefit, and that they knew what they were doing with that. It's Nintendo.
Exactly. I don't think many people have used their Amiibos in any form of
I
game,
wanted the little knitted Yoshi, and I didn't even have a Switch or a Wii U at the time.
I've got a Bloodborne Totaku, which is another variant on it. I don't think it has any game sort of interactivity to it, but they did similar to Amiibo kind of things, and you can get Bloodborne Hunters and God of War figures and stuff like that, which were pretty cool. But these Toys to Life games have very much died a death now.
Yeah,
sort of recently.
Was it Disney Infinity really targeted kids? That seemed to do really well, and then that was, I think, the first big casualty was Disney Infinity. Mm-hmm. I remember you going to Asda and they were just selling them all for like $1.
It's crazy. And Skylanders as well. I don't think Peter will ever forgive Activision for what they did to poor Spyro.
Yeah.
The horrible goblin Spyro with his stunted nose.
It was awful. Just awful.
Disgusting. But that had a huge following as well.
Yeah, they had a TV series, right?
Well, yeah, I was doing a bit of research into this. Apparently there was a Skylanders Academy Netflix series. It got 4 seasons in and then was cancelled this year. I never heard of it. But apparently the kids go wild for it. So that's done. The last Skylanders release that we got was December of last year, but that was a mobile game, and I imagine that probably If it does have Spyro wasn't even a star by the end, was he?
He was just an ancillary character in a series named after him.
Mental.
Were the Lego Dimensions figures ones you built, I guess?
I think so. So Lego Dimensions, there was a lot
come with
of...
like a base, I guess, that went on the stand, but you built the figure into the base, I guess.
Yeah, and you could like customize, you could just build anything out of the blocks and then scan it in or something like that. But this was one that people were very excited about because I rewatched the trailer for this when I was putting together the notes. And it's mental because it's basically every licensed Lego has access to. So there was Batman, Lord of the Rings, Ghostbusters, Scooby-Doo, Back to the Future, just all existing in this one trailer.
Horrible dimension.
Yeah,
they're all trapped in this purgatory of our creation.
All these weird underdog heroes and their horrifying odds that they've now all got to overcome together. Scooby-Doo versus the Joker. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
It'd die really fast.
The one thing I'm interested in is amiibos don't seem to be going anywhere.
No.
And I wonder if they're going to start bringing in external licenses. Especially now that we've got Banjo in Smash.
Yeah.
Like, are we gonna
Cuphead?
are we gonna start seeing these licenses coming in?
Well, there's a lot of talk of this buddy-buddy relationship that's blooming between Nintendo and Microsoft now.
It all sort of started with Xbox Live going onto the Switch, right? There's like a weird... There was like talks of some weird thing. I think you can get an app, or I don't know if it links up so you can talk to your friends while you're playing Switch, or maybe if you're playing a third-party game, you get the achievements. Maybe I don't know, but
not entirely sure.
It all started there, and then obviously Microsoft mercilessly gutted Rare for a long time, and seem to be now giving them a bit more freedom. But the idea of Banjo back on Nintendo, and then. It's fascinating. Maybe it could lead to a new Banjo game, which a lot of people thought was what was happening initially. I remember that, the initial outrage of like, oh, but he's coming to Smash. Oh, but we just wanted another game.
It's a start. It's a start, at least.
But like the creator of Banjo, or one of the guys... it was somebody at Nintendo. It was last night. He urged people to go onto Xbox and play Banjo because it's available obviously through Xbox's store and the Rare Replay.
That is peculiar.
Do you think there'll be any other crossovers? Do you think we could maybe see a return of Rare to Nintendo and it becoming like a dual platform?
Some kind of loan system, perhaps. I mean, Nintendo's got a lot of stuff that Microsoft is after, and God knows Nintendo needs as much help with their online infrastructure as possible, and Microsoft has got that just down to a T. So I don't know. It would be really interesting to see, though. I have no real horse in this race apart from just being an observer because I don't really play on either platform, but it's super fascinating.
I'm just trying to think of what other franchises we could see brought across from Rare's past. Like,
I mean, there's a lot of classic stuff.
They're not going to bring Conker back.
Probably not anymore.
Not on Nintendo.
Not anymore.
But yeah, I mean... Probably Viva Pinata. I can imagine that happening. Yeah.
Get a Viva Pinata amiibo, maybe.
Yeah.
But amiibos, I feel like they're sort of immune to all this anyway because they are sort of part of the Toys to Life conversation, but they're collectors' things. People like to buy them and have them, and I sort of get that to an extent with the what was it, the Disney Infinity?
Disney Infinity, yeah.
As well, because there was a lot of Marvel stuff too, and you go into CEX and there's like Spider-Man and they're still like 15 quid.
They were pretty big figures as well as far as they go on the sort of Toys to Life sort of scale. Like they were pretty big and sizable, so if they were cheap enough, I imagine parents would just buy them for their kid.
Yeah.
And
But in terms of the wider Toys to Life discussion, I don't think we're going to see anything like that for a while, especially as games continue to move towards streaming and digital media and games as a service. I think it's less and less palatable, especially for parents, to be buying big chunky accessories that are just going to sit in a box under the TV forever.
Yeah.
I think this was their time to have that moment, and now every parent who's been through that and every adult who bought that stuff as well, just like Guitar Hero, now knows that it's fun for a month. And now I've got all this plastic stuff that has no purpose.
Most people I know that collected them wound up just leaving them boxed and getting the little RF cards.
Oh, yeah, so you can just
the little,
keep
like,
them
pieces
all...
of paper, you just swipe on it.
It's not part of the fun, is it? It's like the Lego movie where they use super glue. You've got to take them out. You've got to let them breathe. Let them have some fun. No, I understand about keeping things in the box. I'm a nerd. I get it. Sam, it's time to move on to something very weird.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I might be ready.
For some weird news. It's time for weird news. Weird news time. This is a bit where we both bring along some strange news from the world of games. Sam, I believe you have some weird news.
Well, I am from the world of wrestling primarily,
Yes.
and something very interesting tying wrestling to gaming has happened this week.
Just fell into your lap.
Just fell into my lap straight
Perfect
away.
timing.
Dave Batista is going to be a playable character in Gears of War 5. And not only that, I think people are reporting that it's not Dave Batista the actor, it's Batista the wrestler. It's the gimmick.
Yeah. It's not even Dave Bautista.
It's
not Drax.
When you're playing as him, it better just be his theme the entire time. Just that big yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, should I read out the article from PC Gamer?
Yeah, let us know all about it.
Drax, the animal in Gears 5, he'll portray himself. Dave Batista has made no secret of the fact that he wants to star in a Gears of War movie. He and Terry Crews have been really campaigning for it. Yeah.
Is there... Okay, this is a question for you, perhaps, as someone who's probably played Gears before. Because there's a new Gears game out very soon. We're going to cover it on the channel a little bit. We'll try to anyway.
Yeah.
Is there much love for Gears anymore? Is it like every other video game movie where they've tried to make it for a decade, like BioShock or Uncharted, and they're like, we're ready to go, and everyone's like, it's too late. You've missed the boat.
I think Gears 5 is the only thing that could maybe make people interested in a Gears movie.
Right.
But Gears is sort of... It depends who you ask, because a lot of people are like, well, 1 and 2 were great. A lot of people are like, well, 1, 2, and 3 were great. A lot of people were like, well, 2 was amazing. Like, people are so like divisive on Gears, but like, I think there's a die-hard enough fan base. But for me, the weird thing about a Gears movie is I always thought it was one of those unfilmable franchises, but they'll find a way. They will find a way. Look at Tomb Raider. Although Tomb Raider 2 has a new director.
Has it?
And it's Ben Wheatley, who made Kill List and Sightseers, and he's a very violent director, so it could be a horribly violent film.
I mean, she does kill a lot of people, to be fair. So why not embrace it? Go full hog.
But yes, I'll get back to my article.
Okay.
He seems like a natural fit. He's huge, scowly, and famously violent, but despite his enthusiasm, he's not very confident, that's in red, that it's going to happen. So a compromise, he'll appear as himself in Gears 5. Ooh. Okay. He tweeted, "It's about damn time, play as me in hashtag Gears 5 starting September 15th after at WWE Clash of Champions, at Xbox, at Gears of War, hashtag Dream Chaser, sorry.
Dream Chaser,
Ooh.
yes.
I got too excited there, Ben.
Whoever's got at Dream Chaser, congratulations.
We started with the fantasy of Batista as Marcus, putting Batista into Marcus's armor and starting with Marcus's script. Then we added elements of the Animal Batista, the Animal Batista into his voice performance and onto his look by adding his signature Hollywood shades to his character. They have only been a factor in his character for about 5 years.
Give me what I want.
Like, he didn't turn up initially with this, yeah. Director Rod Ferguson explained at Xbox.com, that was who's saying that. Batista was great in the booth, and I can't wait for Gears and Batista fans alike to stomp some swarm as the Animal. Batista's appearance is part of a partnership between Xbox and WWE that will culminate in the Clash of Champions on WWE Network on September 15th. That's a pretty bum deal. I thought we'd maybe get Triple H in.
See, that'd be... get all
some
of Evolution in there. Ric Flair with a walking stick.
Like, make
something.
Sunset Overdrive 2 with Ric Flair, yeah.
Oh,
Great.
God, just flipping everywhere.
That's also when his character will become available. To unlock it, you'll need to play any version of Gears 5 between then and October 28th when the promotion ends. So there's only a limited time to get Big Dave the Animal.
So once you've got him, can you keep playing as him, or is he just available during that time?
I think he's available during that time, and I imagine you'll be able to keep him after that.
Okay.
But it might just be a limited window. So, like, get the game early if you want to get Batista, and wrestling fans will buy anything. Dave Batista is probably best known these days as Drax the Destroyer in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, of course, but for my money, he is and always will be the Animal. Here is smashing people. I think that's supposed to say here he is smashing people, including Santa Claus and Edge twice on to and through things. No video.
No video. Just imagine the video.
Yeah.
So it is the Animal Batista, WWE wrestler Batista.
Yes.
You can usually tell by the spelling of his last name.
Yes.
Because it's either Bautista
they
or
omit
Batista.
the U. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's scary.
Yeah.
It's because it's too foreign, isn't it? We can't have that.
Can't have that. No.
Frightening. But yeah, he's got his... the weirdest thing, as you said, is his red tinted sunglasses.
Yeah, like he would wear sunglasses during his Evolution days. Like when they'd all come out in suits, he'd have like a small pair of those like weird architect sunglasses on sometimes. But like, yeah, the red shades haven't really been a fixture They're sort of like Hollywood Rock. He's just stolen Hollywood Rock's sunglasses because The Rock did the same thing with the aviators.
It was sort of this is sort of skinny jeans Batista, isn't it?
Yeah, he comes back, wearing a flat cap, and it's like you just look like somebody's dad
and a pink shirt. It's
yeah,
like, who are you trying to be, Dave?
I mean, he's amazing. He's one of my favorite guys of all time. But
when his moniker is the Animal,
yeah,
and he's like, look at me, I've been golfing and selling real estate.
The one thing is, like, it's gone now. I believe he has a tattoo that covers it, but I really, really wish. And I hope that on his character model, there's just a hole around his navel, and you still get that cute little belly button sun tattoo.
For the longest time,
that's the point where you can kill him, like whenever you're playing online.
Had a belly button tattoo, and it was
a tribal sun.
It was weirdly prominently featured.
It looked like
it was in his video package that played whenever he came out. Like it
was in his logo.
Yeah, his logo was his belly button tattoo. Yeah. But you're right. In Gears of War, it should be critical hit if you hit Dave Batista's belly button tattoo.
It's such a time and a place tattoo. It looks like the cover of like a Godsmack album.
Right. Mad. So he's going to be in Gears 5 for a limited time. You can play as him in the multiplayer.
Yes.
So make sure if you log in and get that,
maybe
tell us all about it.
Maybe they'll include a Batista bomb style fatality type thing.
They need to, right? Yeah, he doesn't use a chainsaw. He just...
maybe that's it. They do because his whole thing when he comes out is he pretends he's got a machine gun.
Yeah, he does.
Maybe they do that.
Pyro goes off around him, but it's artillery.
Yeah,
and it just all rains down. That'd be amazing. Except he's vulnerable during it, so he's just standing there in the middle of
taking damage.
Just doing this fake hacker thing of boo, 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 and everyone's just beating the crap out of him, and he can't react because he's locked in this animation. It'd be amazing.
But what's your fate? What's your weird news? Fake news? Jesus.
My fake news? No, it's not fake news.
Fake news.
That's why it is weird. Is because it's real. So, firstly, unfortunately, I can't give a full follow up. But last week on Weird News, I spoke about Brexit Royale,
right?
Which is not a real game, but was in fact
it should be.
It was invented by a sort of a PR firm,
right? And
the Daily Mail fell for it hook, line, and sinker.
Of course
they did.
Yeah.
And it was an article discussing it and like what it's purportedly supposed to be about, and that actually when they spoke to the PR firm, they confirmed that it wasn't real.
Yeah.
The PR firm DM'd Peter this week, and my DMs are closed. Otherwise, I'm sure they would have reached out to me. But they DM'd Peter, and Peter forwarded it on. And basically, they said that thank you for featuring it on the podcast. We'd love to clear up some inaccuracies that were in the article that we read, and Peter gave them my email address and said, I'm away this week, but feel free to reach out to my colleague. And I haven't heard from them. So hopefully next week we'll be able to do a proper folw up on Brexit Royale, and sort of maybe provide a bit more context.
Maybe they'll wait until the deadline.
Maybe we'll delay it, or I'll vote Peter out of office or impeach him or something. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, so as a replacement for this week, because I was waiting until the last minute for this to come through, because I thought, well, they'll get in touch, but they didn't. So this is from Polygon, and I don't know if you remember, Sam, at E3 2019, the internet fell in love with Ikumi Nakamura.
Yes.
From where are we? It was from Ghostwire Tokyo was the game that she was working on. They were presenting it at the Bethesda conference, and she was full of life and nervous charisma and did a weird dance move or something. And people went mad for her. It's not really weird, but I just wanted to give an update on an internet star. She's leaving. She's leaving that company. So
is she going to become a full-time public speaker?
I certainly hope so. One of the bright spots of this year's E3, some would say even brighter than the surprise. There's a massive full-screen advert for BP.
Lovely. Thanks, Polygon.
Don't go to BP. Screw BP. Let me just scroll back down. No, it's just replaced everything I was looking at. Here we go again. This is why you printed yours off. I didn't. This is the dangers. One of the bright spots of this year's E3, some would say even brighter than the surprise appearance of Keanu Reeves, was the presentation by Ikumi Nakamura, the creative director, art director, and senior concept artist at Tango Gameworks, the developer behind The Evil Within. And she was on hand there to promote the studio's newest title, Ghostwire Tokyo. Today comes the word that she's now departing from the studio, with no clear indication as to where she'll end up next. What did you think of her at the time? Because a lot of people were weird about it.
Creepy. It's always the way, isn't it? It was like when Russia annexed Crimea and everybody just fell in love with that. Everybody fell in love with was it like a Ukrainian?
Oh, yes, there was a Ukrainian
policewoman?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
There was some politician.
They
wasn't there?
completely fell in love with her.
That was super
I think
weird.
it's always strange. I think it was funny, and it was like, this is just really cool, but it was a bit. People can be a bit creepy. Let's just leave it there.
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
I would say also Japanophiles can be especially creepy, especially if they're from the West.
God, like when I was there, I was so conscious to not be a weeb.
Right.
Like so conscious, like because you see how some weebs go on, and it's just like it's proper cringe-inducing, and it's like really bad. When I was there, I made sure to just be sort of respectful and not freak out too much if I saw something cool. I'd be like, "Oh, look, a huge Gundam statue." Inside, I'm just
oh my God, take a photo. Take a photo with me.
I'm just quickly like.
But equally, you're not buying a Gundam body pillow.
No,
so there would still be a huge difference.
There's time yet, Ben.
Well, we'll see, won't we?
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll go back to Japan at some point. After 9 years as creative director and art director at Tango and ZeniMax, Nakamura wrote today on Twitter, I felt here is one of ends of the journey. I'm assuming that was translated.
Yes.
Contact me if anyone wants to work with me. Although she made a splash this year at the games industry's biggest trade show, Nakamura has long been an industry veteran. She's had a hand in games like Okami, Bayonetta, and Resident Evil 2, but it's her affable on-stage presence and natural charisma that people will likely miss most in the short term. So, yeah, I hope the game's okay. You know,
I mean, it's probably in good hands, given that the Evil Within was always pretty all right. It was pretty, all right experience.
Fine. Shinji Mikami's still there. He's the Resident Evil big boy. All we've seen is this trailer. I suppose it's notable because it made a bit of a splash because of her.
Yeah,
she was like. She outshone the game, and they didn't even show any gameplay footage. But
everywhere she went, it was just sort of like, well, what's the context? So the name of the game was getting out there constantly.
Yeah, and now she's gone, and so I hope the game continues to get as much publicity as it did when she was working on it. But good for her. I hope things are well, and I hope she lands on her feet and goes somewhere super rad, because it seems like she's got a lot of experience and she'd be a great spokesperson. I think anyone who takes her on board will get a big PR rub and immediate interest.
Maybe she left because they were just like, we just want you to present everything all the time.
Maybe.
And she was like, I can't present everything all the time.
Ikumi Nakamura merchandise.
I would like for that studio to do what they did for The Evil Within, though. They did like a full series of behind the scenes on production of the game. Mm-hmm. And there was a full 20-minute episode on sound effects.
Oh,
and they sat with the Foley artist and they sort of went shopping with him. Okay. And he bought a load of watermelons and like potato chips and just various foods, and he'd just combine them or do stuff in his hand, or like he'd just be sort of like eating melon and like raw noodles to make all these horrible noises, and then you'd see it like side by side, and you're like, oh, that's where that noise comes from.
That makes that noise. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Right. It's time to move on to another question, Sam.
Right.
Do you want to get this one as well?
Yeah, I'll get this one. So this is from Sputnik. Having recently returned to Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, having given up on it shortly after its release, I am finding it so much easier this time around. Are there any games that you've given up on for one reason or another, and when you've gone back to them, found them so much easier or better?
This doesn't happen so much to me anymore because I only play...
Because I'm the best at games.
Because I finish everything. No, Sekiro, definitely Sekiro for me. But, well, actually, no, I haven't gone back to Sekiro. But in terms of giving up on games, Sekiro for sure I've given up on. But usually now I just play stuff that I'm actually interested in. There's very few things I start, and Rage 2, actually. No, you know what? I do this a lot. It's fair enough. Have you got any that you've given up on recently and then gone back to, or just given up on in general?
I give up on a lot of games, and I will go back to them quite a lot. I just tend to... I find it really hard now to do what I was always able to do as a kid and just sit for like 5 hours, 6 hours and just play a game.
Yeah.
So now I will get like an hour into something. I will die against one boss and I'll just be like, and I'll come back to it 2 weeks later. But I think the biggest one for me ever was Myst, because I tried to play Myst as a kid and I obviously didn't understand it, because it's impossible to understand at the best of times. Mm. But when I came back to it, like I think it was last year or the year before, I could gently understand the puzzles a little bit better, and it was quite like I always hated this game because I never understood it. Now it's all right. And the other one is Dark Souls. Like Dark Souls, I've tried so hard. Like I'm just not built for that sort of gameplay. Every year I'll try,
right,
and I'll get a little bit into it or a little bit further into it, and I can't do it. It just makes me so angry.
Right. Well, I get that one because that is one of the ones I've got down here. Both Demon's Souls and Dark Souls 1 were games that I picked up shortly after. I pre-ordered Dark Souls 1 and I played Demon's Souls like a year after it came out because one of my friends was just raving about it.
Yeah.
And both times I got to maybe the first boss or just past the first boss and then thought, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm not having fun with this. And this was also a time when my internet was crap and the PS3 online infrastructure was crap. You know, there was no I was going to say voice acting. There was no voice chat or anything really for when you're playing games. So, you know, if you wanted to play games, you had to boot up Skype on your computer as well and talk to people. And that's just what you had to do at the time. And so I gave up on those games. Now, what it sounds like you need, which is what I needed at the time, was, and I've talked about it a few times on this podcast, and every time...
Are you going to say a kick up the arse?
No. Yeah, I always... every week I'm like, right, it's arse-kicking time. No, I always forget the name of what it is. There's a particular name for it within the Dark Souls community as well. You need a guide.
Right.
You need a herald, someone who is very familiar with the game who can play it through with you and guide you through it on your first time. I had that. When I came back to it, my friend who'd encouraged me to get Dark Souls and Demon's Souls just sat there and we played it through with one of my other friends as well. All three of us just played through all of the games. And, well, at the time it was just Dark Souls 1 and Demon's Souls. But, like, we played through them back to back. And it was a revelation. I was immediately like, I was so bad at them. Still, I was so bad at them, but that made it that much more exciting because I was just clinging on every word that my guide was saying. Yeah. And when I had to play through bits on my own, I was terrified. And I was like, okay, right, I can see that. What do I do? And now, of course, I'm like, just, you know, it's no big deal. I'm just running around in my pants and just rolling off things and stuff. But, like, I think that's what helped me the most. So if you ever get a PS4. I know you've got one.
I've got a PS4, somewhere. Yeah.
But if you get it on PS4, we should play through it together.
Right.
It makes the world of difference to have someone with you to sort of guide you, and it's such an experience.
Yeah.
But that was one for me. Dark Souls 1 and Demon's Souls. Final Fantasy 13.
That was a whole different kettle of fish. I tried. It was the other way around with me. I tried so hard to blindly love that game. Mm-hmm. I tried with all of my heart. I love Final Fantasy with everything that I am. Like Final Fantasy 7 and 9 and 10 were my childhood for a large portion of it. It's such an important franchise to me. And then 13, it was such a slog.
You didn't like the Crystal people. You didn't like the Lassie and the Fal'Cie and the seaside.
I hated every little bit of that game. Like, the more I played it, the more I was like, it's about a big crystal again. That's nice, but like, oh no.
Was it just that? Let me see if I can put my finger on it. Was it every single character was utterly detestable?
Yeah, and like you had Lightning, who you're supposed to feel sympathy
She's
for.
Awful.
But it was sort of like, you know, like if you played Infamous Second Son, you're supposed to feel sorry for Delsin Rowe, the main character.
He's a douchebag.
And he's a douche.
He's a massive douchebag. I still like that game, but he's a douchebag. He's a real douche.
It's a great game, but you can't feel sympathy for somebody who's that thoroughly unlikable.
Mm-hmm. Even Kratos had it in most of his games.
But I don't know, it was just... The characters seemed so one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. The stupid Lassie and Fal'Cie challenges and stuff, where it was like, we'll bring across all of the what do you call it? It's from 10. What were they, like the Trials, Cloister of Trials stuff, God. And it was that, and I just in the gameplay change. I'm always a big proponent of turn-based or the Kingdom Hearts style fighting system as well, to a degree, which 15 had the Kingdom Hearts style system.
I like that.
But 13 was agony.
I tell you what I did like. I liked the leveling up system. I liked the spiderweb stuff, and that was really satisfying to do. I really enjoyed that. And the music, of course, was amazing.
Of course, yeah.
And it was gorgeous at the time, but I stopped playing because I think at the time I had exams or something, and I was just trying to be good, and I wasn't enjoying it anyway, but I stopped. And then, God, it was like I was halfway through my time at university, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna finish this thing. And I played it through up until the last boss, and then I stopped again.
Yeah.
And I still, so many people said, it gets good 40 hours in. It bloody doesn't.
It doesn't, no.
It doesn't get any better.
I slogged my way through it. I think I eventually beat it, because I remember that Christmas I was like looking forward to playing whatever game I was going to get. Mm-hmm. And then, somebody had got me for Christmas Final Fantasy 13-2.
Oh, boy.
And I was like, 10-2 didn't work. This ain't going to work. And that was, But the thing was, I went to university with a girl called Sabine she's from Malaysia, and she loved 13. She
Really?
lived and died by 13. And like a lot of people I met, like through her friends that were from sort of Southeast Asia, they loved it.
Maybe
it was huge over there, apparently.
Maybe it spoke to, on sort of a cultural level, maybe it was more significant, perhaps.
Yeah.
I imagine people whose first experience with Final Fantasy was that game might even weigh it much higher than anyone who's played.
They should all go play 9.
Yes. Yeah, 8's out now.
I know. I didn't even know this was happening.
Yeah, the
8's
HD
the only one I've
remaster.
never played for any period of time.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I nearly got to the end of 8, and that was one that I was late to the party on, and I
8
never
that has
finished it.
the card game, right?
Yeah.
That everybody, like my
oh,
mates.
No, nine's the card game.
9's the card game.
Yeah, 8 is the weird battle system that I could never really get my head around. But
I remember my mates found out whichever game it was that had it's 9 that has the card game. They found like an online version of it, and would sit and play it for hours, and it was so boring. Like I enjoy it, but I don't want to sit and play it for hours.
I started the HD remaster of 9 when it came out, and I did everything I could to get as many cards as possible, but I forgot how the game worked, the card game worked. So I was like, okay, I'm way ahead of the curve right now. Like I've got my card deck, I've got enough cards to play a game, played against someone, lost, they took all my cards. And I was like, oh yeah, this is how this works. You know what? Screw this, actually. I don't want to play this anymore.
Did you get the lovely remastered theme?
Oh, I don't know that I did, actually.
Because I got the theme, and it's, as much as I love the Final Fantasy IX theme, because it's some of Nomura's finest work is the score of that game, especially Vamo alla Flamenco. It's one of the best, like when you're sort of just doing the fight scene. Great.
Oh, yeah.
But the main theme, it's sort of like all like plinky plonky synthy and sort of medieval, and it's great. It's one of my favorite bits of music, but every single time I boot up my PS4 now, it's just a and it's like 4 bars just repeated, and it's like
it does sound like a child wailing a bit, doesn't it? Or complaining. There's just been auto-tuned. I had the Final Fantasy VII one for a long time as well, which also just sort of started to slowly... I don't have the menu music on my PS4 anymore just because it's too much.
I leave it on for my... what was it called? Was it Fire? The one where you play the Fire Warden? And it's sort of like a walking simulator. It's a Firewatch?
Oh, yeah, Firewatch is one.
Yeah, so the theme for that was great, and it sort of got like a nice gentle acoustic guitar, and that was really cool. Yeah. That's, I think, the only one I'll leave the music on for, and my Final Fantasy IX one, because everybody has to suffer if I'm going to suffer.
Yeah, exactly. So, Journey has a good theme as well. That was a good one. One thing that I should have mentioned actually a little while ago on Weird News was that when they announced that this game was coming out shortly after, this is Final Fantasy VIII, the remaster that's been released this week. There was an infamous part of that game where you're at some kind of dance on the PS1 version. Yeah. And I can't remember what she's called. Is it Renoa?
I have no idea.
I don't know if I've got the wrong game.
All I know out of that game is Squall.
Yeah, okay. So I think it's Squall and Renoa. So forgive me if I'm wrong. Renoa, if that is your real name, is at this dance with Squall, and Squall stood there. And Renoa says, "Why would I want to dance with anyone else? You're the most handsome man here." And it's so memed because it's PS1 graphics, and it's just this like mush of pixels, and it's just the most hideous thing, and it's brilliant. Yeah. And before it came out, Square Enix tweeted, "You're the most handsome man here," and that's one of the things they've changed, is that he now practically looks like handsome Squidward. Where in that scene, he's just like weirdly, like really sculpted and handsome. It's amazing. It's so good. But I may pick that up. I may play that eventually when I get to Borderlands next week. Probably not. But at some point, maybe. It's time to move on, Sam.
Yes.
To a massive discussion. Are you ready?
I'm prepared. My body is ready.
It's big discussion time. It's big discussion time. This big discussion, Sam, comes from Jack Bradshaw.
Right.
Who asks, question for Sam.
Oh,
growing
it's
up,
me themed.
It is you themed. what were your favourite video games to play, and what console did you play on the most? So, Sam, let's talk about you. Let's talk about your video game journey. Where did you begin? Where did you come from? Where did you go? Cotton Eye Joe.
It's a song about a woman leaving her husband.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's very upbeat, isn't it?
I began on the Sega Master System as early as I can remember back. I think my dad got it when I was like 1, when it came out in like 91, 92, whenever they did the Master System 2.
So you've always been a Sega guy?
I was indoctrinated into the cult of Sega very early.
Right.
But I think you had the Master System 1 because that went to my grandma's house, the big long one. And whenever we were at grandma's, we'd play on the Master System 1. I had the one with the built-in Sonic the Hedgehog. That one had built-in Alex Kidd in Miracle World. And yeah, that was it. Like, I'd sit and I'd watch my dad play Sonic. I would just mill around on Green Hill Zone 1, like as a 4-year-old, not knowing what I was doing. And my dad could like beat Sonic pretty quickly. Like, we could do it in an evening, like, because it was obviously like back in the day, the games weren't huge on the Master System. So you'd go from Green Hill Zone to, I think, Bridge, and then Jungle, and then Labyrinth, and then you'd get to the sort of the big airship. And I just remember being captivated, like utterly captivated. And then as I sort of got to the point where I could physically play, I was playing like Asterix. Columns is one of my big guilty pleasures. I think it's a criminally underrated series, and I would love to see a new Columns.
What is Columns? Can you describe Columns?
Columns is sort of like, it's Tetrisy, but it's sort of early, I guess, Candy Crush. You've got 3 gems, essentially, and you can press A or B, and it will change the order of the gems. Like, they will move in order. And the goal is to get as many of the same color together in order to make them all disappear. But the more you can sort of stealthily put together, the higher your points get. So you can sort of get 2 ready to go, and then, like, you know, have a whole line with a space between, and then drop one in, and then boom, it'll all go.
Okay.
So it's got that Tetris element, but it's really addictive. Asterix, The Great Rescue, I loved that game. And then when I was 7 at Christmas, all I wanted on earth was a PlayStation.
Yeah.
All I wanted. And earlier that year, did you ever have the PlayStation bus at shopping centres near you as a kid?
Oh, I don't think so. No, I grew up in a village, so we didn't go to that. So.
We have like the Metro Centre nearby. It's always sort of one of the biggest shopping centres in Europe. They always try and keep building onto it to hold on to one of their top places or whatever they are.
Right.
But I remember one day really vividly, because I'd never played a PlayStation before, and there was this bus, and it had Crash Bandicoot on the side of it. It had all these characters on the side of it that were like sort of, you know, games that were upcoming and all this stuff, and a big PlayStation logo. And we went on the bus, and up to this point, my dad was like, they're really expensive. And I didn't get to play anything. I think my dad played something because I was so small. I couldn't really see the screens. And then they gave us a copy of PlayStation Magazine, and I would sit and just read this magazine and look over all the games, thinking about, this is amazing. And then that Christmas, I got a PlayStation.
Amazing.
And I'll never forget it. Like, I can still remember going downstairs and opening the box. And then the first thing we did was play Gran Turismo, because we didn't have many driving games for the Master System. There was like Ayrton Senna F1, which is, you know, that outrunny style game where you're just going straight, and then all of a sudden it's a hairpin left, and you'll always crash.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember my dad just being sort of silent when he was looking at it, going, "This is like," and it's comical now, like because when you look back, the graphics are awful. But like my dad just going silent, looking at it, going like, this is ridiculous. It looks real. Because he'd come from 2600. Like, he'd been gaming since, he'd always been sort of 2D, side-scrolly games.
Yeah.
This was his first 3D. We had Cool Borders 2, and then eventually I got Tombi. And Tombi was a great deal of my childhood. That was like such a good game. It's anybody who doesn't know what it is, it's one of the most sought-after PS1 games.
I think Peter's
if you have a physical copy. You play as this pink-haired guy called Tombi, and in the land the game is set in, there are these evil pigs, and the evil pigs are sort of magical. They've been sort of released from their prison, and they have this army of pigs that have pitchforks to try and kill you. You've got to sort of jump on them. The whole crack is they're stealing everybody's gold, and they've stolen your granddad's bracelet. So you go out to get it back, but to do that, you have to defeat all of the evil pigs. And it's like a weird platformer RPG. It's so hard to describe, but there's still stuff I haven't done in that game today.
Really?
Like, I go back to it, and there's still stuff I just don't know what to do. Klonoa, Daughter Phantom Mill, great game. Cooler World. Oh, just so many memories. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, the PS1 I think was probably the console I played the most until obviously I got the PS2, and then you had Kingdom Hearts and everything. But yeah, I had Game Boys and stuff, but that was sort of irrelevant at that point. Obviously, I caned a lot of Pokemon as a kid. Who didn't? But yeah, for me it was, I think, the PS1. That was where I completely fell in love with gaming.
And currently you're playing Dreamcast, but what else are you on? What else are you doing?
So I've got a Switch, I've got an Xbox One, I've got a GameCube. Like James, your editor, James, the TripleJump editor, he lent me, because I lent them some Switch games, he lent me Mario Sunshine. I haven't played that. I played it as a kid, like in Argos for 5 minutes.
Right.
But I've always wanted to play that, so I'm going to go back through that. I just sort of lean back on old stuff. I'm really into retro gaming, and as much as I love modern day gaming, like the biggest sort of reveal for me that gaming could be more than just sort of blips and sort of sports based games was Broken Sword, and everything by Revolution Software. They are, for my money, just the best in the world at what they do. They've got Beyond a Steel Sky coming out soon, which is going to be amazing. They're based in York as well, so they're like a lovely British company.
Nice.
But Broken Sword, we got this like help charity compilation that had Road Rash on it, and that's the only reason my dad wanted it, is because he wanted to play Road Rash.
Okay.
But it had Road Rash, Broken Sword, and Myst. And obviously Myst was impossible. Even my dad was like, no, not playing that. I don't know what I'm doing. And Broken Sword, he was like, you probably won't like it. So I just never bothered with it. And one boring Sunday, I put this disc in, and it's all animated by Dave Gibbons, who drew Watchmen.
Right.
And the opening sequence is like, of the original game anyway, the remastered one you can get on iOS is a director's cut with a new intro. But the original starts with just a guy on holiday in Paris, and this clown comes up to him and he just like sort of brushes it off, and he goes inside this cafe the guy sat out in front of, and then moments later the clown comes sprinting out and the cafe explodes. And you're just thrown into this adventure that spans the whole world, and it's point and click. And I remember going, this is crazy, it's like a film. And that for me, that was really it. But yeah, I sort of just lean back on old. It's like my taste in music. I just sort of, there'll be something new comes out and I'm like, that's really cool, I'm gonna go back and listen to Pink Floyd. And then I always beat myself up about it. I'll come to a game so late because of that. But
then you can get it with all the DLC, which is how games are now.
What about you? What was your experiences with gaming?
Oh man, I started off with I think my first experience was probably playing on my aunt's original Game Boy. The big grey boy.
Yeah.
And then my cousin had a Mega Drive and an N64, and I got my Game Boy Color, and then I eventually got my PS1 and then PS2. And then it was we talked about it a lot on the podcast before, so I'll sort of streamline through it. But the PSP is where I really started to be into games. Like I always liked games, but it was on the lead up to I pre-ordered the PSP with my own money. And like was reading magazines. Like I
don't think I'd ever expect anybody to say was the PSP was the thing that got them really into games.
I suppose it wasn't the PSP itself, it was the act of pre-ordering the PSP.
Yeah.
Because on the lead up to that, I started reading magazines for the first time properly, and I started to do my research properly. And then ever since the PSP came out, I think the PSP is great, but it's not my favorite handheld.
Yeah.
There's some great games on it, but it didn't change the world for me, at least, even though it was massively successful. It was after the PSP came out that I just continued to stay in the sort of gaming sphere.
Yeah.
And when the PS3 was announced and started ramping up and stuff, like that was it. I was just completely hooked, and I've been hooked ever since. Just as I wanted to work in games journalism and do game stuff, and went to uni and did radio, and then I got to my final year of uni, and I was like, I actually, you know what? I hate radio. The people who work in radio don't seem very nice. And so I did everything I could to start making a sort of shift towards doing game stuff. And I worked for free for a very long time. And eventually here we are. But it was the PSP was the tipping point for me.
What did you pre-order it with?
I think it came with Medieval, which is probably why I dislike Medieval so much.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it because you only had that to play for so long?
Yeah, well, that, and I remember Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out, and that was fantastic on PSP.
Yeah.
But it probably wasn't, but I remember it being fantastic on PSP. But
Did you ever buy a Vita?
Oh yeah, I think the Vita's
Yeah.
fantastic. The Vita's
It's one of the most underrated consoles of all time.
So good.
They're shutting down the store next year, I think, aren't they?
So sad. Such a shame. Which is why if you're going to get one, you need to preload it full of all your games.
I got mine for like 40 quid.
Really?
Like, yeah, from like a CEX or
They're
something.
so cheap. And I've spoken about it before, and I will until my dying breath. You need to get a PlayStation TV, is what they're called, which is the PlayStation
just a
Vita just in a box that plugs into your TV.
It's about twice the size of a Fire Stick.
Yeah.
And you can just use a PS4 control, right?
Yeah, or a PS3 controller. You can, if the store's still active, you can download a load of different PlayStation 1 classic games. You can play PSP games on it. You can play PS Vita games on it. It's phenomenal. It's such a great little thing, and it's so cheap. But anyway, that's that. I think it's time we move on to the end now, Sam.
Yes.
Would you like to read these nice plugs?
These nice plugs. So you can find Triple Jump on YouTube at youtube.com/Team Triple Jump. You can find them on Twitch at twitch.tv/Team Triple Jump. You can find them on Twitter at twitter.com/Team Triple Jump.
There's a theme here.
You can find them on Facebook at facebook.com/Team
Triple Jump.
You guessed it.
Yes.
You can find them on Patreon, and as we said throughout this, if you want to get your questions on the podcast, this is the way to do it, is to help us out on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Team Triple Jump. And then the podcast, this is where things differ a little bit.
It's a weird one, this.
play.acast.com/s/Team Triple Jump.
Or just Triple Jump.
Oh, is it just Triple Jump? That's even worse.
Yeah, it's weird. But we're on everything. If you search Triple Jump, you'll find us on iTunes and Spotify and so on.
Yep. The website, if you want to come and check stuff out and go look at the store, is triplej.mup.
Yes.
And then Discord is bit.ly/Team Triple Jump.
Thank you very much, Sam. I would quickly like to say that we've had all sorts of issues with the website this past week.
Yes,
apparently
it's being looked into, and
the server, our server host is being DDoSed at the moment, apparently. So hopefully we're going to move server and things will improve. But we've got job vacancies at the moment. I would like to assure everyone who has sent an email applying that has come through, and there's no deadline yet, but just as and when you can get onto the site, feel free to apply. We've got a freelance writer and freelance video editor position, so please feel free to have a look at that. Now, if you'd like to follow us on Instagram, you can do at less_defined for Sam and at Ben Potter 20 for me, and on Twitter at lessdefined, no underscore, and at confused_dude for me. We do lists every Tuesday and Thursday, streams every Monday, Tuesday and Thursday, Monday and Tuesday being on Twitch, Thursday being on YouTube. Worst Games Ever is fortnightly. It's a Worst Games Ever week, Sam.
Is it?
Yeah. So
what's the game this week?
That's a secret.
Is it secret?
It's a secret.
Oh, I'm going to go on the back end and have a look.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you now if you like.
Oh,
it's a really bad one. But if you're a patron of a certain tier, you get it 2 days early. So patrons will already know because they watched it on Friday, but everybody else gets it on Sunday. So you will still be able to see it soon. The podcast is, of course, every Saturday. There was also a Rules Boss episode this week that went out on Friday. Some people got a sneak peek at it because Rules Boss was apparently put in charge of social media scheduling, and the tweet went out on Wednesday night. So it was up for 3 hours. I'm sure people...
hastily taken down.
Some people saw the thumbnail and the description of the video, but obviously the video wasn't live yet.
Black market copies being distributed worldwide.
People are sharing that thumbnail
drive,
around. Yeah, so you can see it. But the actual episode will be out on Friday if you'd like to see that. Finally, please leave us a review on iTunes or your platform of choice. And we just have time to go back to today's sponsor, Sam, which is the OAP Antivirus Shield. If you would like to keep those pesky opes away when they're talking down to you about your video games, or taking all the pastries at Greg's because they, for some reason, can't get enough of just the pastries during the week when everyone else is at work. So they've got to be there on Saturday morning when everyone else is trying to get on with their life. Then you need the real Knight and Shield that comes with the OAP Antivirus Shield. And you can get that from a website. I don't have any more information. Maybe you just sort of, maybe it's like Father Christmas and you just sort of put your letter into the fire and it'll get to him. Magical. Sam, before we go though, you've got all kinds of stuff going on over at Cultaholic. Would you like to let the people know where you is?
So we are at youtube.com/Cultaholic, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. The only one that's different is Instagram, which is We Are Cultaholic, because there's somebody snuck in there, I think, and got Cultaholic beforehand. But yeah, we upload lists, we upload like what happened to's for older wrestlers, people from certain events, times and eras, things like that. We have a range of podcast content, some going out daily, including a daily news podcast. There's just everything. WTF moments, graded, coverage, news. If you're into wrestling, give us a look.
It's the one-stop shop. Everything you could possibly need. It's a fantastic website.
Punishments. Lots of punishments. I've got to go spend a night in the woods again soon.
What was that as a result of?
I lost at All Out because Chris Jericho won.
Chris Jericho. And then he went and lost his belt, didn't he?
Yeah.
What an idiot. Silly. A little bit of the bubbly, am I right? Okay, we've got to go now. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back next week. Bye.